This is Johnny Girardi with DataSelf. Thank you very much for joining our session. First of all, I really would like to thank WAC Consulting Group for giving this opportunity to us to do this education webinar, particularly to Carrie Ann. She is the marketing director at WAC and did a great job helping us promote this webinar to the channel and get you on board. We have a very informative session today. We have 45 minutes, so let's get the ball rolling. Again, my name is Johnny Girardi, and I'm the DataSelf founder and CEO. The idea today is to talk about analytics for Sage300, formerly Accpac. So let me get the ball rolling here. We will spend about 15 minutes talking why analytics or business intelligence. We should spend about 25 minutes covering how our analytics solution works, and then at the end we'll open a Q&A. So why are you here? Most likely because traditional reporting solutions such as Crystal, Access, and Excel, they typically are labor intensive. You may need assistance from your IT people to come up with reports, change reports, slice and dice reports. Typically, business people have to rely on someone else to do it. So it's labor intensive from an IT standpoint, as well as from the business users per se. Also, another major challenge is poor performance. Typically, traditional reporting takes too long to run. Too long, sometimes it's half a minute, maybe a few minutes, or sometimes even hours. So performance is also a typical issue of traditional reporting. So why do organizations turn to analytics? In a simple word, it's about business user empowerment. Business people are the ones who need information, who need data so they can make more informed decisions, and typically they cannot get it by themselves. If they don't have a report ready to go, most likely they have to call someone, and they have to usually wait for too long. And sometimes they don't have the chance, they have to answer right away, and they have to only use gut feeling and not data. So the most important benefit of analytics is empowering business people so they can take ownership and they can actually find information as needed, anytime, anywhere they are. Now, before we jump into how we do things, I want to cover some validation, why we are considered in the Sage community the Ferrari of analytics. So let's talk about validation first. So what you're seeing here is the Gartner Magic Quadrant. As you may know, Gartner is one of the most reputable companies doing assessment on technology, all sort of different technologies. In this particular one is about business intelligence and analytics. Very quickly here, we have on the left side an axis telling the ability to execute. Higher here means the company is doing really well executing their vision. On the bottom we have completeness of the vision. More to the right, meaning they have more tools for the BI and analytics. So this shows how much a tool set that they have. Now the very top two companies, this is from February 2013 information, the very two top companies from an execution standpoint, we have Tableau and Microsoft. Tableau is considered the king of the hill in analytics, in data visualization, user friendliness, empowerment of business people. So they are the leader specifically in that industry. They just went IPO, a very successful IPO. Microsoft, they are doing very well from a more complete and comprehensive options of BI tools. So these two vendors are really the best of the breed out there. Where are we? Where do we fit in this quadrant? Well, we are a small player. We are a small company working with mid-sized companies. However, what we do is we take Microsoft Business Intelligence, we take Tableau, so we take the two best solutions out there, we package it, we put our own technology that eliminates the complexity, the programming from this framework. We add thousands of reports, KPIs out of the box, and we sell it. So in a nutshell, what we do is the best of the breed technology out there. You cannot find anything better. We package for Sage300, for instance, and we can deliver it in a few hours, in a few days. That's what we do in a nutshell. Best of the breed, quick, easy, fast, inexpensively. Now, if you're more familiar with the Sage market landscape, here I show specifically what you usually see in the Sage community. So what we say that in the top or in the bottom 80% of the needs, and here what we're talking about, the higher you go here, the easier to use the solution is, the faster it is. However, cost goes up as you go on this scale. So if you are familiar with some other analytics and BI tools in the Sage community, particularly in the Accpac, Sage300, these are the names that are typically very popular. Great solutions, we call the entry-level solutions. Affordable, we call them the Beamers, the Mercedes, the Porsches. Outstanding solutions. Inexpensive is a way to get out of the Excel Access Crystal into something better. At the top 20%, these are typically the vendors that you may find when you go and look for something that is really easy, super fast, but the cost a little higher. So you find DataSelf, you find, as I mentioned, Microsoft and Tableau, which are very good. And ClickView is also fairly familiar, fairly common on this market. So these are the four most popular top BI vendors, analytic vendors you may find in the Sage community. Now, how do we stack against all of these guys? Well, from an out-of-the-box value, we have built a very comprehensive solution for Sage300 that comes with thousands of reports and KPIs out of the box. While the other vendors, pretty much everyone else, they provide nice blank sheets pretty much that you have to build yourself. So from an out-of-the-box standpoint, we usually provide something of much greater value. From a cost standpoint, we are not the least expensive, but we're not the most expensive. We have designed and priced our solution to fit the budget of mid-sized companies using, let's say, Sage300. So that's how we position ourselves. Now, these two slides are the thickest ones, so hopefully as we move forward now, we're going to have something, not as with so much content. So what about it, So the way we position ourselves as DataSelf Analytics is that we are so fast, so nimble, like driving a Ferrari. We call ourselves as the Ferrari of the BI in this market. Why we do so? Well, we have been in this industry, in particularly with Sage300 or Accpac, for about 13 years. Our track record says that, on average, DataSelf analytic clients, the users can tackle more than 70% of their own reporting needs without IT support. I mean, salespeople, VP of sales, CEOs, inventory managers, people from finance, they can actually do the job themselves without calling for external, help. Sometimes they need an assistant because they're too busy, but the idea is you don't need specialized assistant to build your reports, slice and dice reports. That's the track record we have. The second major advantage is the queries in DataSelf Analytics usually run in seconds, regardless of the complexity and the size of your database. So being fast is also a critical benefit of ours. So that's what our analytics provides. Easy of use and super fast solution. So the business users can take ownership of the solution, they can collaborate, they can share insights and dashboards without calling for support. That's our Ferrari. How we do it, how we make this whole analytics so easy, so fast? Well, one of the components is actually we call the ultralight data warehouse we have in our solution. In a nutshell, the data warehouse allows what we call the one version of the truth. It's a single place from where you get your data. Sometimes if you don't use the data warehouse, you may go to a meeting with several people. Each person brings their own reports that was designed by themselves or using different business rules. and then you're comparing apples to pineapples. You know, the numbers may look similar, but behind the scenes they may not have the one version of the truth. So a data warehouse framework guarantees that all data coming from the data warehouse follow the same rules regardless of who's pulling it out of the data warehouse. That's one of the most important benefits of a data warehouse. The second benefit is a data warehouse is a database that is optimized for analytics. So it makes it easy and it makes it fast for non-IT people to pull data out of it. The next big business value we add is over 13 years of doing business in this market, and we cover, you know, the Sage300, Sage100, Sage500, and several other accounting package. We have built a very comprehensive out-of-the-box solution with over 2,000 reports, dashboards, and key performance indicators, pulling from sales, inventory, purchasing, payables, receivables, GL. I mean, we have a very comprehensive solution. We install in a few hours, in a few days, and you get this not only nice solution, but a bunch of reports and dashboards as a starting point. So that's also part of the solution. So let's go for a test drive. What I want to show in my test drive, which is pretty much show the product per se, is three main pieces of it. I want to show secure access, how people consume information. Then I want to show some simple out-of-the-box reports or KPIs out of the 2,000 lists we have. And finally, I want to show how easy it is to build from scratch a dashboard. So access, security access, out-of-the-box solution, and how easy things are. So let's do it. So let's first start with the web portal. The web portal is how people traditionally have access to the DataSelf analytics solutions. Typically, the web portal is hosted in your intranet or in the cloud. All this information is secured, so there is no way to hack it. It's using the latest and greatest technology, so very secure regardless if you go intranet or in the cloud. Now, when a user logs to this user interface, and this could be done through, let's say, a web browser, a regular web browser, or through some mobile devices, such as, you know, let's say an iPad or a smartphone. When the person logs in to this framework, the first layer of security kicks in, and then I can see a list of, you know, dashboards pre-configured in this case. So if I'm a salesperson, I would have access to the sales dashboard like I'm looking at right now. If I'm, let's say, a financial person, a person from finance, I would say the finances dashboard, for instance. Now, when I choose one of the dashboards, I'm going to click this one here in this example, then the second layer of security may kick in. In this example, I am, let's say, the West Coast manager, so I'm seeing West Coast information. And if I have no access to other, you know, regions by security, that's what I can tell. Now, if I were the VP of sales and I open exactly the same dashboard, the same thing, by default, the tool will give me access to all information, you know, central, east, south, west coast information. So security behind the scenes check my credentials and checks what information I'm entitled to and just gives me that. So when someone is publishing the dashboard, they don't have to worry about individual security. They just publish the dashboard to a group of people, and then behind the scenes, the technology or the framework will render information based on your own credentials. So that's kind of security works behind the scene. The data is secured against hackers, and then you can only see your own dashboards, and within your own dashboards, only your own information. All right, so that's a little bit of overview of how security and access works. Now, let me show some sample key performance indicators that are available out of the box. First of all, something very simple. This is a top customer by sales this year to date dashboard. We have lots of, you know, we call top performer reports, you know, from a sales standpoint, you know, top customers, top products, top territories, top product lines, top salespeople. If you go to the inventory module, you know, items that are sitting on inventory the most, or the biggest cost on hand. If you go to purchasing, if you go to financials, we have a lot of top performers showing right off the bat. Very straightforward reports. They can have charts, they can have grids. In this case, we have a combination of bars, bullets, and also color schemas. Now, let me show a more intriguing dashboard that we have available out of the box. In looking at, the top growth or decline in any given time. And again, I'm looking from a sales standpoint, which is usually fairly easy to understand. This particular KPI shows me the top customers by sales change since last year to date. This could be quarter to date, month to date, or comparing same date, same month, let's say this year versus last year. Regardless, we're looking at the top growth since last year to date. And usually, this is pretty straightforward. Clients growing the most are the ones where salespeople are on top of them. So usually these guys are just music to our ears. We know them. We're keeping them happy. We're shipping them. But what about the ones that are declining the most in sales? Typically, some of these are not very happy. Something is wrong. And if you know about them quickly, you may be able to fix the problem and reverse the trend. So showing, looking at trends from the top growth and decline is usually critical. And out of the box, we have lots of those reports showing that kind of perspective. Let me show you the last out of the box report also to give you different types of way of the data. And I'm looking at sales because it's easier to convey messages, even though again we cover all different modules. This one is called an exception reporting. In exception reporting is very valuable to show things that are not happening. In this case, we're looking at customers with no sales in the last 30 days. So let's say, suppose you are a distributor and you have recurring customers. Why these customers were buying the last 60 days, but not in the last 30 days? This could be any kind of bucket, maybe in the last quarter, why they're not buying this quarter. But the idea is showing transactions or things that are no longer happening and they used to happen. This is called, again, exception reporting. And out of the box, we have several of those covering different areas of the business and showing you those perspectives. All right, so I just showed you a sample of key performance indicators from the sales side that are available out of the box. As I mentioned, we have more than 2,000, so we have a few. What I show you now is the most exciting part. The out-of-the-box solution we have is usually a great starting point. For about half of our clients, is all that they need is the out-of-the-box solution. For the other half of our clients, these are more sophisticated, more data-driven companies that they really want to find their own trends, slice and dice the data, and figure out how they can optimize their business really, really well. So the ability to give these people a very easy to use technology that business people can actually do the job is critical. So we like to show how easy DataSelf analytics is when it comes to user friendliness and high speed. So let's do that. So let's build a new dashboard from scratch. So now I switch to the DataSelf analytics client tool, and this is typically the publishing tool that allows people to build reports from scratch. Let me explain how things work here. This left side is we call the data panel. In the data panel is where you find what we call the reporting parameters. I'm looking at the sales details data panel. The same way it works for inventory data panel, purchasing, receivable, GLs, and so forth. We're looking at sales here as an example in our sales. So on the sales side, I'm looking at sales reporting components. So I have the dimensions, and dimensions are the entities that I want to look at my information, I want to filter my information by, I want to slice and dice my information by. So typically I'm looking, let's say, customers, customer address, invoice date, product, salespeople, and so forth. And then at the bottom I have the measures, which are the numbers that I want to analyze my dimensions by, sales, cost of sales, returns, growth, and so forth. Now, keep in mind, you know, this is a tool that we want business people to be empowered by. So being friendly and being self uh, informative is critical. So if I look at this list here and I look at salesperson, I may look and say, what kind of salesperson information is this the salesperson currently assigned to my customer, or the salesperson information that I was tagged on my invoice header? So let's say 2 years ago, I want to see who sold to this customer, or do I want to see who is the salesperson today serving this particular customer? So I may have this question. Well, this tool does a great job. If I put the mouse over a given reporting parameter, I can have these pop-up windows telling what this reporting parameter is all about. So in this case, salesperson is the rep recorded on the invoice header. So it just shows me the salesperson when the transaction took place. Now, if I go to the customer list and I look at the account manager, let me get some more room here. So the account manager, as shown by the pop-up window, is the rep currently assigned to the customer. So anyway, these pop-up windows, they help business people understand what kind of data they're looking at. So help on the fly, I would say. Now, the other thing that is really important when it comes to building reports or slicing and dicing is that it is a journey. It is a discovery process. When people, when business people, they come up with an idea for a new report or a slice and dice, they have an idea, I want to see this. But until they walk the process, until they see it, they don't know exactly. So typically, if they're using the traditional reporting approach with Excel, Crystal, and Access, they get a call, another person, typically an IT person or a consultant, explain the requirements, wait, sometimes hours, even days or weeks. The report comes back, is not exactly like the one. They ask for changes and then goes back and forth, sometimes several times, until finally the report comes together. Well, the point is, it is a journey. It takes interaction. And if you're not using a tool like ours, it's going to take you hours, maybe days, maybe weeks. This tool actually was designed to help business people walk through the journey. This Show Me panel on the right was designed by Stanford University professors who studied how business people analyze business data. So depending what kind of business data they want to take a look at, what data visualization techniques are important to give business people the right insights. Actually, these Stanford University professors, eventually they founded Tableau, the Tableau company that I mentioned before in the Gartner quadrant, the top data visualization company. Well, Tableau was founded by these Stanford University professors, and they come with this technology that is actually behind the scenes, the Show Me button. And as I go to this presentation, I'm going to show you how exciting and how helpful this technology can do, helping business people walking through this journey. So now that I give a little intro about how this tool works, let's dance. Let's go for a spin. So I'm going to build a dashboard with two main views in this dashboard. The first view will be, I want to see sales by salesperson and gross profit. In the second view, I want to see a sales by state. I'm looking at geography component here. So let's build these two dashboards and see how things work. So I want to see sales. So I'm going to click on sales. Gross profit, I select gross profit, and salesperson. So I select those three reporting parameters. Now, how do I want to see this? Well, we go to the Show Me panel, and here the Show Me panel analyzes what information you checked and tells me what data visualization techniques I can pick and choose to visualize those three pieces of information. So you just point and click. The first one is the grid view. The grid view is awesome for people who want to see the numbers by the penny, you know, detail, just numbers. It's just grid. Very straightforward. That's one approach. Well, in my example here, I'm more of a graphical person, so let's check the next one. The next one gives boxes, bigger boxes for bigger sales. In the color of the box automatically set to this color theme. Kind of cool, but I didn't like it. So I click on the next one, and the idea is you just keep on clicking on options until you find someone that is, hey, I like this one. So in my example, I actually like this one. I have my salespeople on the left. I have bars for amount of sales, and then I have bars for gross profit. Now, I have these two salespeople who are rock stars, and I don't need to manage them. I'm going to get them out of my query. So I'm going to exclude from my query. And I'm going to sort them on a descending order. So just click sort by salesperson. And there it is. I have my sales and gross profit report by salesperson. Now, I'm very visual. I like colors. I have things to make my insight quick. So let me try to drag my percentage gross profit, which is important for my business, into my color mark. Look at that. I love this. Now, through the colors, I can quickly tell that my top salesperson is actually not so profitable. And this could be a red flag. Maybe I have to check and work with Sam to see what's going on. So for now, I love this query. I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call sales by rep. That was my first query. Very good. Let's build a second one. I want to see sales by state. So let me show you here. I have customer address and ship to information. I'm going to check the customer address, and I have built out of the box country, state, city, and zip. I can have any kind of geography component, territory, county, whatever you want. I'm going to choose customer address and sales. I'm going to go to the show me button, and now I have mapping capabilities. How about that? So let me choose the bubble approach, which typically is the one that I personally like better. Now I'm looking at country information. I actually want to see state information, so I'm going to drill from country all the way to the state information. So there it is, very cool. Now these bubbles are a little too little. Let's make the bubbles bigger. So I click the size mark, and let's make it a little bigger. Awesome, I love it. Now, typically when I'm analyzing, I like to slice and dice my sales by different things, maybe by product line, by warehouse, by salespeople, you name it. In my sample database, I have under my invoices a parameter called deal size, which separates invoices by small, medium, and large size. So let me drag the deal size into my color mark and tell that I want to see bubbles as pie charts. Oh, this is really cool. Now I have bigger bubbles for bigger sales, and each bubble have slices which shows aggregated data based on the size of the invoices. I love this view. It's very informative. But is this growing or declining over time? Time analysis is usually critical. And this tool is really awesome when it comes to giving business people ability to slice and dice data from different time buckets. Let's say year, quarter, month, days, weeks, fiscal periods, moving windows, let's say last 30 days versus the prior 30 days, or moving 60-day window, whatever. So let's drag and drop the document date, which is the invoice date, to my column. So I can also, just drag and drop things into my view. So now what I have is I have a column for every date, and then I see the trend over time. Now this is really informative. I can see that my sales are growing, particularly in California. My blue, which is large sales, is growing a lot. If that's my business goal, I have to tap my back. I'm doing awesome. Now, on my particular report here, dashboard, remember I'm building a dashboard that has this view of maps as well as my sales information, and my salespeople are on the field using iPads. Keeping that in mind, this on an iPad would be very cluttered. Too much information for a small screen. I'm still not happy. Let's keep on spinning it. Let's see if we can make it better. Let's take the date and put in my rows. So now I have, similar idea, different rows for different years, kind of better, but not my dates to my pages approach instead. Now I have a single map, which I think for my, let's say, iPad people is going to work better. And then I'm going to add the page name to my report, which is the actual period. I'm looking at days, a year, so I'm looking at the year information. Now, I like this, and I have this slider now that if I slide, I can change the periods. Again, could be quarter, could be weeks, and then I see what's going on with my trends. If I'm in a meeting and want to show this to the board or maybe to a sales team or whatever, the team that I'm working with, and I put in loop playback, and I click play, then what happens is, as the period changes, the chart changes. Now that is a very cool Ferrari. So I love it. I think this is super informative. I'm going to wrap it. So I'm going to call sales by state. My two queries. Now I want to combine them into a dashboard and publish them to the web server. So I'm going to click on this button, which creates a new dashboard. In here on the left, I have all queries. I could have several. I could have 5, 4, 10, as many as I want. And then I just have to drag and drop my queries into my area on the right. So let's just do it. I'm going to start with the sales by state, drag and drop. Beautiful. And then sales by rep, drag and drop. And it's very intuitive. I put it on the left, maybe on the left quadrant, top quadrant, right quadrant. Is just drag and drop. Let's put it in the left quadrant. Let's give some more room for the map because I love the map. Beautiful. The last thing I'm going to do with this dashboard is to tell that each one of the segments or the quadrants are filters, so I can filter my dashboard against everything else. All set. And then I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call Johnny Dashboard. Alrighty, beautiful. So it took me, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes to build this dashboard from scratch. As you can tell, there's no programming, there's no complicated things. It's something that anyone who wants to learn it, they can. Now let's push it to the web. Is that easy? Super easy. Let's do it. Let's click server, publish workbook. When I do that, I can then tell which of these sheets I want to publish. I only want to publish the Johnny dashboard. And then here, I take care of security. Who is going to have access to my dashboard? I can select individual users or a group of people. And that's it. I select sales team. I click OK. I click publish. And now this dashboard is published to the web server, which could be, again, on the intranet or in the cloud, and could be your private cloud, or it could be our public cloud, all very secured. So I have a little preview, looks good. Now, in this scenario, if I have, so suppose I was the one, like a sales assistant, and then my VP of sales, which is in California, asked me to build this dashboard because he was in a meeting. So I build this dashboard, and I call, the person, say, hey, Mr. Joe Doe, please open your dashboard, refresh your dashboard. So Joe Doe would go to his iPad, would refresh the dashboard, and would see Johnny dashboard right there. So he clicks on it using, let's say, his fingers on the iPad, and then the dashboard that I just created pops up. Now, since I'm the big boss, I have access to all information. If I were only West Coast person, I would only see West Coast information and so forth. All security would be playing behind the scenes. But as the big boss, I come here and I actually meeting, let's say, the West Coast person. So I come here and I select those 3 states with my fingers if I am on an iPad. And when I do that, the tool automatically filters and shows only salespeople selling to those 3 states. And if I had more information on my dashboard, products being sold, customers buying, whatever, the whole dashboard would be filtered by that. Now, if I click on the next part, I'm further filtering down my dashboard. So now only for those 3 states, what SAM is selling. And if I use the control button here on my desktop, I can actually select more people and enhance my analysis. Very intuitively, very quick. Now, uh, if I am the VP of sales with full power and I want to slice and dice this information on the fly, I don't need to call the office. I can have the edit button. I click on it. Now I have similar capabilities as the desktop client on my iPad or on the web. And I'm looking at this view. I actually want to see a grid, so I can here change back to grid. So I see actual information. And when I see, let's say, what product lines were sold, I go to product, I take product line, and I drag to my rows. And right there, I see, by salesperson, my product line. Who's buying? I can go to the customer, choose customer name, and I drag and drop. We can empower business people with a tool that they can find the information by themselves as needed. So that was the test drive in our Ferrari. I'm going to switch back to our PowerPoint to finish the presentation, then open for Q&A. So how about cost? Well, before I talk about cost, let's talk about ROI. In our experience, when you give a tool as easy as this, as user-friendly as this, that is very easy to collaborate, what happens is decision makers, business people start to make more informed decisions, usually better decisions. And if you take, not maybe all business people are going to do it, but if you take part of your business team making better decisions, faster decisions, more informed decisions, what happens is they move the needle. Let's say if they're salespeople, they're going to increase their sales, typically by 1 to 5%. If they're looking at cost efficiencies, they're going to be able to cut it further. So usually we have seen that people that use DataSelf BI, they can move the needle, they can improve the bottom line by a few percentage points. How much is your revenues per year? How much does that represent in a year? If you increase by 1% only, how much is that? Well, you make the calculation. Typically, when you look from this standpoint, it's not about the cost. It's really about how much value a super easy to use tool can help your management, your business people improve business. So how much does DataSelf analytics cost? Typically, it's a 4 to 5 figure investment. You can get your feet wet under, in 4 figure. Usually it goes to 5. So, it's not inexpensive. It's going to cost you some money. But again, you have to look at how much benefit you're going to be able to do, and then you see if the cost makes sense. And we'll be happy to make some assessment to see if DataSelf analytics will be a good fit for your business. This is a little technical slide. So for those of you who may be technical, this will be emailed to you later today, so we can talk more about that. But in a nutshell, we pull information from Accpac into a SQL Server data warehouse, the ultralight data warehouse. Then we go to the analytics platform, which can be on-premise or in the cloud. And then at the end of the day, people consume information using, desktop, web, and mobile devices. All right, I think we're right on track. We have 5 minutes for Q&A. So how the Q&A works is you go to the GoToMeeting panel and you write questions, and then we will answer. If we don't have time to answer all the questions, we will definitely be in contact with each one of you to answer them. So we have some questions here already. What Sage300 modules we cover? There's also another question, if we also work with Sage CRM. So let's wrap into a single question. We cover the core Sage Accpac modules, AP, AR, GL, sales, sales, inventory, purchasing, and we also integrate Sage CRM. So we cover all of those modules. That's a good question. Other question here. Typical time to deploy. Typically, it takes hours to days to deploy. in real time. We schedule these hours or days in the course of weeks. Most people, we get the system up and running in 2 to 4 weeks. So the actual effort for the out-of-the-box solution is hours to days, spread out in a few weeks. About half of our deployments, we install the out-of-the-box, and that's all that they need. You know, we install it, we train people, and they go by themselves. The other half requires some kind of, you know, customization, from bringing custom fields, optional fields, things like that, to additional piece of information. And usually a small portion of our clients require extensive customization, but most people, about 70 to 80%, once we deploy and we customize, they're good to build and go about their own reporting needs. More questions. Price per user, good question. So typical, we have 4 main type of user licenses. The desktop, which is the publisher user, the web interactor, which is the power user, which has full rights, just like I showed. You can slice and dice things on the fly on the web or on mobile devices. We have the web mobile viewer, which is pretty much a user for consumption of information. And then we have also ways to automatically email or send information to people, static, you know, dashboards, and that has unlimited users. So we have those 4 type of users. So the cost can range from 0, you know, if you go into the other, the last option for additional users, to a few $100s per additional user on a yearly subscription basis. That's pretty much how the cost operates. What else? More questions? Well, we pretty much, you know, we have 1 more minute, so let's just take 1 more question. How do we compare with, you know, Sage Intelligence offerings? Very good question. So there's Sage Intelligence Reporting Bundle and the Sage Intelligence Enterprise. They are 2 very good, outstanding analytics platform. You know, we've been working with Sage for over 13 years, and these 2 are actually the best they have, you know, incorporated. Still, if you look at how we do things, you know, we use Microsoft and Tableau behind the scenes. So we are like the Ferrari, you know, faster, more robust, much easier to use, a kind of, you know, sexier solution. So we are targeting the top 20% people who really look for an edge, while the Sage Intelligence is more like, you know, the Porsches, the Mercedes, great solutions, affordable. If your needs are not very sophisticated and you have a lower budget, definitely is the way to go using theirs. All right, folks, let's wrap it. We have some more questions on the pipe here, but unfortunately we're running out of time. So let me just put the final slide. And I want to let you know that we're going to be emailing each one of you links to a recording of the session as well as to the PowerPoint, and we'll make ourselves available for further questions. And people who have answered questions and we didn't have time to answer, we're going to contact you to go on a one-on-one basis. I want to say a big thank you for all of you, especially to the WAC group for this opportunity, and specifically also for Carrie Ann for being so kind and so great and professional, helping us having this very successful event. Thank you very much, and have a happy Thursday. Thank you.